Yes, good afternoon all. Very good afternoon, everyone, both online as well as the offline people. Right. Let us start with this one. The first and foremost topic yesterday in the last class, we discussed about this evolution of the landform. We discussed the earth movements. The earth movements, like what are the earth movements? All the changes that are happening over the earth's surface. In fact, the very first unit of geomorphology, according to your syllabus, if at all you are seeing the syllabus, the first unit is called as the evolution of the landform development, the endogenic and the exogenic forces. This is what you will be coming across, the first chapter, right? But this one, whenever you are talking about this evolution of the landform, the forces that are responsible for the evolution of the landform, the forces, because of the forces, what happened? The earth movements were there. There are certain forces which are responsible for the earth movements. There are certain movements, regular movements are happening on the earth's crust. From where the movements are coming from? The movements are basically due to the forces that are acting both on the deep inner layers and even on the above the surface. There are two forces that are acting over the surface and also from the deep inner layers. One force acting from the deep inner layers. Suppose if this is a surface, some forces are acting from the deep inner layers. Some forces are acting over the surface. These two forces are responsible for the today's earth structure. What is the today's earth structure? Where you are finding the landforms like continents as well as the oceans. All these are the structures that are found. It's because of the forces. These creation of the continents, oceans, and then the creation of the relief features like mountains, plateaus, plains, all they are called as the earth movements. If there is a question, explain what are the different varieties of earth movements, then you need to talk about the forces. The forces are responsible for the earth movements. The earth movements, because of the earth movements, you can find all the structures like the continents, oceans, which are called as the orderly formed relief features. Like in the previous class, we have given like all the relief features are forming in an orderly fashion. All the relief features are happening in an orderly fashion. What do you mean by all the relief features are happening in an orderly fashion? The moment once the earth started cooling, in the formation of the earth, what happened? When all the small rocky particles got accreted, it's a round ball developed, which is called as a planet. When the planet is slowly cooling, nothing but solidifying, because of the slowly solidification condition, the gaseous planet got converted into liquid planet. The liquid planet got slowly converted into solid planet. It is the outermost periphery of the planet where for the first time it got solidified. When this is the earth, earlier it was a gassy condition, nothing but all the gases from the different areas got accumulated to form a gas ball. Because the outermost conditions, outermost temperatures that are present here, the outermost shell started cooling. Slowly, the cold temperatures moved towards the inner layers, making this one as a liquid material. Finally, it turned into a solid. Even though it is a solid on appearance, today, some of the layers within the inner parts, they are still in a liquid condition. This is how the earth has formed. Because of the contraction that is happening from the inner layers. Meaning what? When the outer layer got solidified, it turned into hard rocky material, but the inner layers still they are in liquid conditions. Because of slow cooling in the inner layers, it also started getting solidified. Whenever any matter gets solidifies, take a glass of water, keep it in the fridge, it turns into ice, right? But what you can see the difference whenever it is in a liquid state and whenever it is in a solid state. When it turns into a solid material, its space, its volume is less. Have you ever observed this one? Whenever you are taking a glass of water, if at all you are keeping in the fridge, deep freeze, then what happens? It turns into ice. That ice volume will be definitely less than the volume of the liquid. Whatever the liquid that is occupying the volume, that is less than that of the solid. On the same lines, whenever the cooling happens, in the earth interior, now it contracted. The moment once it contracted, what happens to the brittle material, hard material that is there in the upper reaches? When this material get contracted, this starts folding. It starts forming wrinkles. Wrinkles means what? Nothing but ups and downs. This area turns into up and down. When this area turns into up and down, the upper part is called as the continent. The lower part is called as the ocean. This is how the continents and the oceans has formed. The depressions are called as the oceans. Over a period of time, within this depression, the rain water got accumulated and forms wide oceans. This is the concept given by a very great personality, Mr. Lothian Green. This is the concept given by a very great personality, Mr. Lothian Green, under the concept called as the tetrahedral. It's called as tetrahedral concept. Tetrahedral concept or the tetrahedral hypothesis. This is what he has given. Now, the modern side is it the one that has happened for the evolution of the landforms? What are the landforms? Like continent is a landform, ocean is a landform. The land which got depressed is called as ocean. The land which is not depressed and it is elevated, it's called as the continent, right? This is a landform. One concept which is talking about the formation of the continents and the oceans is the tetrahedral. Is it a valid or a proven principle that all the landforms of the present generation have formed like this only? No. The modern concepts. What are the modern concepts? The modern concepts talks about the forces. This is the modern concept. This is the earlier concept where we have discussed in the previous class. I have given a brief introduction again so that you can recollect whatever we have discussed in the previous class, right? Then the ultra concepts, ultra modern concepts. What are these modern concepts? The modern concept says that all the relief features have formed in a orderly fashion, like the first order relief feature, then the second order relief feature, then the third order relief features. What are the first order relief feature? Meaning what? For the first time on the planet Earth, what type of landforms you are going to see? They are called as first relief features. First order relief features. What is a relief? What is a relief? Relief is nothing but the difference between the maximum and the minimum point. Whenever the land is forming like this, suppose if this is the surface of the earth, when this is the surface like this, because of expression of the density of the material, somewhere the land will be remaining like this, somewhere the land will be depressed like this because of more density of this material. This is called as the depression. In the depression over a period of time, what has happened? The water got accumulated. This is what called as the expression of the density by the rocky material. For the first time, the relief has created. Earlier, all they are at one place, at one height. But right now, some of the areas got elevated, some of the areas are depressed. This deviation, could you see this deviation? This is the deviation. This is the deviation. The deviation from the earlier position. What is the earlier position? Normally called as the mean sea level. The deviation from the mean sea level. If I draw the picture in a different format, like these are the mountains, these are the oceans. If this is the mean sea level, whatever the deviation from the mean sea level, right from here, whatever the deviation you can see, meaning what? The area got elevated up. This deviation is called as the relief. This is what the relief. And also this deviation is called as the relief. Earlier, the land was flat. Because of some adjustments, somewhere the land got elevated, somewhere the land got depressed. Wherever you can see the elevation, wherever you see the depression, what it is called as the deviation. Deviation from what? Deviation from the original place. This is the original place. The deviation from the original place. Whenever the land is getting deviated from its original condition, that is what called as relief. These relief features have formed not randomly. How they have formed? All they have formed in a orderly fashion. One is called as the first order relief feature. What has developed? Continents. Well, the first and foremost one, continents and oceans are the first landforms that got developed. After the development of the continents and the oceans, then forms the very important relief features called as second order relief features. Second order relief features. Second order relief features like mountains, plateaus, and plains. Mountains, plateaus, and the plains. These are the second order relief features that you can see after the formation of first order. Now, what are the concepts that we need to understand here? This is the concept is called as tetrahedral concept. Tetrahedral. What we discussed in the previous class, the tetrahedral concept given by Mr. Lauthian Green. What it is talking about? The formation of first order relief feature, the formation of continents and the oceans. Also, along with the tetrahedral hypothesis, what are the concepts that are explaining the formation of first order relief feature? The concepts like nebular hypothesis, gaseous hypothesis, planetesimal, tidal wave hypothesis, binary star hypothesis, then supernova hypothesis, and the interstellar dust hypothesis. Interstellar dust hypothesis. Interstellar dust hypothesis. Now, whatever we have uploaded, the handouts are giving all these explanations, right? All these explanations are for what? For the first order relief feature. This is what the connectivity. Is it clear? What we discussed earlier, only these concepts. Only these concepts were being discussed, like what do you mean by nebular hypothesis, what do you mean by gaseous hypothesis. But what they are explaining the first order relief features, how the continents and the oceans have developed. After the nebular hypothesis, gaseous hypothesis, and all the hypotheses, we have discussed about this tetrahedral hypothesis given by Mr. Lauthian Green. Again, what they are explaining the development of first order relief feature. Is it clear? Could you get the clarity? Meaning what? When the landforms are there, the landforms have not developed randomly. They have formed in a prescribed order. What is the order? First, continents and the oceans develop. When we say the continents and the oceans develop, who are the propounders? Who are the propounders? The concepts like tetrahedral, the concept like gaseous hypothesis of Immanuel Kant, the nebular hypothesis of Mr. Laplace, planetesimal hypothesis of Chamberlain and Moulton. These are all the propounders. Is it clear? We have discussed in a bit by bit, in a piecemeal approach. Now we are connecting. Connecting what? When you need to write the answer of these things, whenever there is a question on the orderly relief features, the formation of orderly relief feature. Which orderly feature? The continents and the oceans. After the understanding of the formation of the continents and the oceans, then comes the second order relief feature. From here, see, these are having the overlapping, like the nebular hypothesis having the overlapping between geography and astronomy. because the formation of continent, nothing but the formation of the planet itself. Over the planet, how they are getting cool, and they are explaining the formation of continents and the ocean. Therefore, they are having some overlapping with the another disciplines. But whereas the very important concept right now, we are entering in the landform development. This is what the first unit that is given in the geomorphology. If you see the syllabus, if you see the syllabus of the optional geography, the first and foremost topic is the geomorphology, and under the geomorphology, which is the first chapter, evolution of the landforms. This is what the landform evolution, meaning what we need to discuss the second order relief features. Evolution of landforms are nothing but the second order relief features. What are the very important and the principal landforms? It is the mountains, the plateaus, and the plains. These are the major, and also you can find some of the things like valleys and all these things, but these are the major second order relief feature: formation of the mountains, the development of the plateaus, the development of the plains. For this, what is the main source? The source is called as the earth movements. This is the link. The earth movements. What do you mean by the earth movements? Over the earth, what is there? Continents and the oceans are there. Now the shrinking is happening from the inner layers, and therefore the earth is having certain movements. All these earth movements, what are responsible? The forces are responsible. What are these forces? The forces are basically two types. These things you are having some knowledge. What are the two forces? Come on. What are the two forces? The two forces are endogenic, and another one is called as exogenic forces. What is the difference? We have discussed in the GS, and here, whenever you are talking about the endogenic force, we talk about diastrophic and catastrophic, right? When we talk about the endogenic forces, exclusively, there are two types of forces called as diastrophic and one is catastrophic. What do you mean by diastrophic? Diastrophic are nothing but the slow forces. Catastrophic are nothing but sudden forces. The forces are acting very suddenly, they are very slow forces. Now, under the diastrophic forces, what are the forces? Don't directly talk about the epirogeny and orogeny. In fact, what should be there, the epirogeny and orogeny should be there. But these diastrophic forces again were classified into two types. One is called as a very, very important movements called as the isostatic movements. They are called as the isostatic movements. These are also a variety of diastrophic, meaning what? Slow forces. What is the isostatic movement? Whenever you are talking about iso, what is iso? Iso is equal. Static means what? Stable. It's not dynamic. Iso equally they are staying. When we talk about the structures like mountains, somewhere the land is highly elevated, somewhere the land is depressed, and what the earth is doing? Is the earth sitting calm? It is rotating very fast. Just imagine, take a round ball, keep one material in an elevated structure. Suppose if this is the ball, this is a ball, you keep one material over the ball like this. When you keep one material over the ball and try to spin the ball, what happens to this material? It will get displaced. Don't you think that it will get displaced? There is a ball. Over the ball, whenever you are keeping one elevated structure which is not exactly equivalent to the surface of the earth, but it is an elevated structure, and now try to spin very fast, because what is the spin of the earth? 1700 kilometers per hour. The earth is spinning at a speed of 1700 kilometers per hour. What is this elevation? Mount Everest. What is the height? Almost all 9 kilometers. When the earth is rotating at 1700 kilometers, what should happen? The centrifugal force should act and the mountain should be thrown away. That should be happening. At the same time, there are certain valleys, deep trenches. Whenever the earth is rotating very fast, what should happen? All this material which is elevated, whatever the mountains you are seeing right now on the entire planet Earth, all they need to washed out and they need to get filled up in these gaps. making the surface strong, flat. But this is not happening. Why it is not happening? It's all because of isostacy. A wonderful concept, very great concept was brought in the geography called as isostaty. What do you mean by isostaty? Iso, equally stable. All this material is equally stable. How it is stable? What are the different theories that are there, different propounders that are there regarding the isostacy? We will be studying isostaty as a separate chapter. These are the isostatic movements. I have given a brief introduction for isostacy. How the structures like mountains are even today resting on the surface. When the earth is rotating at very fast velocity, they are not collapsed. Why they are not collapsed? Because of isostacy. Why the valleys are not completely filled immediately? Because of, again, isostacy. This is what the just introduction to the isostacy. On the other side, there are certain slow movements. They are called as tectonic movements. They're called as the tectonic movements. What are these tectonic movements? The tectonic movements are again classified into two types. What are the two types of tectonics you can find? One is called as epirogeny, another one is called as orogeny. Because of epirogeny, because of orogeny only, you can find the formation of all the second order relief features right now. Got the point? Because of the epirogeny and the orogeny only, whatever the relief features like the second order relief features that are found, all the second order are found because of these two movements. Epiros in the Greek language means what? The continents. The continents are having a constant adjustments. Oros, nothing but the mountains. The mountains are again forming and deforming, forming, deforming. All these mountains formation, the continent formation are because of these two tectonic forces which are under the dash topic. Which are under the dash topic. What do you mean by dash topic? Nothing but very slow but continuous process. Is it clear? Now, what are the epirogeny forces? The epirogeny forces are also called as, see, this is what the clarity should be having. Like whenever you are talking about the landforms, the name of the chapter is evolution of landforms. The landforms evolve in an orderly fashion. First order, second order, third order. The first order, development of continents and the oceans, where they are talking about the larger concepts, the hypotheses, the theories. Then the second order relief features. All it is regarding the forces that are acting, right? Then whenever we're talking about the third order relief feature, then comes the cycles of erosion, like the normal cycle of erosion, the ping cycle of erosion, LC King cycle of erosion. That is the third order, right? This is the second order. Epiros, what do you mean by epiros? Nothing but the continent building forces. Epiros in the Greek language means what? Continents. Zeni, nothing but origin. Zeni is nothing but origin. Epiros, continents, Zeni, Genesis, nothing but the continents are building here. How the continents are building? Because of the vertical movements, that are happening. Though the movements are very slow, but the movements are acting vertically. Because of vertical movement, meaning what? Whenever the earth is like this, the forces are acting vertically like this. It can be vertically up or vertically down like this. Maybe vertically down or vertically up like this. As these forces are acting either vertically up or vertically down, these forces are also called as radial. They are also called as radial forces. If there is a question regarding what are the different radial forces, then you need to talk about the epirogeny forces only. Why they are called as radial forces? Because they are radiating out from one common center, and therefore they are called as the radial forces. The radial forces are responsible for the construction of the continents. The radial forces are responsible for the construction of the continents, and these forces are always vertical in nature. How the forces are acting? The forces are acting vertical. And so they are called as the radial forces. As they are moving out, therefore they are vertical. Because of this vertical movement, what you can find is, you can find either submergence or emergence. You can find submergence or emergence. All the heterogenic movements are responsible for either the submergence or the emergence. Submergence, like you can find the very important content is called as Zealandia. This is what the very best example in the modern time period. Also in the west coastal plain. Now pay attention here. West coastal plains. All we people know that the Indian coastal plains are of two types, western and the eastern side. When you are talking about the emergence, the best example is the east coastal plains. Whenever you are talking about the submergence, it is called as the west coastal plain. Also for the emergence, the Siberian plateau. Siberian plateau is again the best example for the emergence, right? We know that the east coastal plains are emergent in nature, the west coastal plains are submergent in nature, but not the entire. See this one. Whenever you are comparing the west coastal plains and the east coastal plains, this is India. We feel like this is the west coastal plain, which is submerging in verity. This is the east coastal plain, which is emerging in verity. Normally, this is what in all the textbooks that are given. But the optional point, see the precise development that is happening. What is this west coastal plain? This is called as the Kutch plain. This is called as Kathiawar. It's called as Kathiawar, right? Right from here, all the entire plain is the west coastal. But here, right from here, what is the name of the coast? It's called as Malabar, right? What you people are feeling right from the beginning, when I'm explaining something in the GS, where the very precise form was not explained, I was giving in a general fashion. The entire west coastal plains are submerging in nature. This is what I have explained, right? But see the difference now. The western coastal plains are submerging in nature, definitely, but not the entire western coastal region. There are certain areas where the emergence is happening. The best example. What is this best example? The Malabar coast. The Malabar coast, right from here, entire the eastern coastal plain till Bengal are the emergence in nature. Meaning what? Not the entire west coastal plain is submerging. West coastal plain is definitely submerging only up to Mangalore. Right from the south of the Mangalore, the area is emerging in nature. This is what we normally will be discussing, like, the western coastal plain is submerging and therefore you can find the estuary. This is what will come across, right? But Malabar is a emergent variety. Sir, how come, sir, this part is submerging, this part is emerging? Meaning what? That is where the axis is located. What is this axis? This is what the axis is, like this. If something is kept like this, suppose if this is the one, if I am keeping the axis, this is the axis, if at all I am keeping any one material, what happens? This side and this side, where the tilt, the moment once the tilt is here, this area will be tilting, right? If it is emerging like this side, see here, this is emerging, this is the submergent variety. But the southern tip, wherever the axis is there, that is also emerging. This is what the emerging. How do we know that this is emerging plane? When you are talking about the area right from Kutch till Malabar, nothing but till the Mangalore region, it is submergent in variety. All they are submergent in variety. But Malabar is a emergent in variety. Malabar is having some emergence. Malabar is having some emergence in nature? It seems there is some problem with the online people. They are joining and they are moving out. Okay. Okay, now see here, when we are talking about the emergence, what is the best example or what is the best indication to show that it is a emergent in nature? What is the best indication? There must be some indication. Then only can say that that is emerging in nature, right? If the indication is not there, how can you say that it is emerging in nature? What is the indication? You might be knowing one very important landform. It's called as, can anyone can guess? This is a emergent in nature. The Malabar coast is emergent in variety. How we can say that it is emergent in variety? How we can say it is emergent in variety? Is there any some landform where we can say that yes, because of this one, we can say that is emergent, and all you people know? Huh? Rejuvenation. Yes, rejuvenation is also right, but how? What is that particular phenomena that is happening? And you know this thing. See, believe that you feel like, normally student, whenever they are preparing for optional part, feel like, okay, somewhat you need to go deep of this one. We need to go everything. It is completely difficult. This is what the people mindset is. It's not so difficult at all, provided if you are involving, if at all you are thinking practical, then you can understand. What I said till yesterday, the entire west coastal plain is submerging. But in the optional, the moment once it comes to optional, what I'm explaining, not the entire west coastal plain, there are certain parts. There are certain parts in the west coastal plain, they are emerging in nature. What are those parts? One is Malabar coast. The another part is the Kathiawar plain. You'll be shocked by seeing here, sir, this part alone is raising up, and the Kutch part is submerging, and the Daman part is submerging, and the Bombay coast is submerging. Yes, all they are submerging. This is Kathiawar is emerging, and Malabar is emerging. How the geographers came to know? And you know this answer. What is a unique feature here, Malabar? Forget about Kathiawar. What is that unique feature in the Malabar? Day before yesterday, I was explaining about this one. The Malabar plains are very famous for one unique feature. What is that unique feature? Exactly. What is that structure where it's called as the backwaters? What is that landforms? It's called as backwaters. See, this is the type of understanding you should be having. Whenever you're talking about the geographical aspects, you need to have a different approach. The mind should be very open, and you need to see the things very practically. Though you are not there, you should be seeing the things in your mind. When we say backwaters, what are backwaters are called as? Right? It's not Kayal. Kayal is a Hindi word. Okay? Kayal. Okay? It's called as Kayal. The pronunciation, the spelling is maybe on them. Aapka Khayal, this alag sa hai. Like this is, okay? Kayal. Okay? What are Kayal? Kayals are nothing but the backwaters. What is a backwater now? Tell me. What is a backwater? Normally the water will be receding from the land into the sea or ocean, right? What do you mean by backwater? The water will be coming onto the land. When the water can come onto the land, provided the floor in the ocean is raising up. When the water level is more, when the land level is less, then the water recedes back. In order to come water from the sea to the land, the floor has to be somewhat more in elevation. That is what the emergence. See here, this is what the continent, this is what the sea floor, right? It has raised to a certain extent. It is raising. The moment once it raises, what is there above this one? Water is there. The water spills back. The water spills back. If it further raises, again submerges. It submerges. That's why the area called as the Malabar region is having submergent variety. I mean what? What submergent? Land. submergent nature of the land because of emergence of the sea along the coast of Kerala. That is what called as the Malabar coast is said to be a emergent variety. Though it is located in the western coastal plain of India, it is not a submergent variety. It is emergent variety. What is the best indication? The indication is the backwater. When I said backwater in the class, you should be having that understanding. When the water is coming back, is the sea floor is raising or what? That idea should be there. Once you are getting that idea, definitely can understand this. It is a emergent in nature. Is it clear? From where to where the emergence is there? Right from the Mangalore till Bengal. Where is the axis? This is the axis. The axis is located like this. And what is the reason for this? What is the reason for this rising in the Kathiawar? It is, the answer lies in the isostasy. The answer lies in the isostasy. When we discuss the isostasy, then I will discuss how this Kathiawar plain alone is rising. Because this and this are not having very great connectivity, where the land is simply rising. Once upon a time, the land got submerged. Why it is rising right now? Because once upon a time, the land got submerged. Here it's, let me put like this. Since you people are having some knowledge regarding the Deccan Plateau. What is the Deccan Plateau? When the peninsular India was moving by the side of the Reunion Island, what happened? Lava poured, right? When the lava poured and the lava got deposited, right? When the lava got deposited, where the lava deposited, this is the area, right? Because of the slope provided for the lava, some of the lava went into this one. Got the point? When some of the lava went into this one, what type of force the lava has exerted? This is lava is nothing but the new rocky material. When new rocks are being dumped there, when new rocks are dumped, what happened? Exertion of the force is there. Because of such a great exertion of the force, what happened? The Kathiawar Peninsula, some during the Cretaceous time period. What is the Cretaceous time period? Nothing but in the Mesozoic. What do you mean by Mesozoic? Nothing but middle part, in the middle time period, around some 60 to 100 to 60 billions of years back, the magma poured here. Because this one very great pressure was there. Due to the pressure, this area went underneath. Because of, again, now erosion is happening. After some millions of years, what happens to the rock? The rock got disintegrated, formed into soil. What type of soil? Black soil. The area got spread and the erosion is happening. The rivers like Sabarmati, the river like Mahi and all these are flowing. When they are flowing, what they are doing? They are removing the rocky material. When they are removing the rocky material, what type of force exerted there? The force is becoming weak. When the force exerted is weak, slowly it is rising now. This is what the reason for the Kathiawar rising. In the GS, what you can simply understand, the entire West Coastal is submerging. But when it comes to optional, you should be very precise which part of West Coast is submerging, which coast is rising. Again, I will be explaining the case of volcanism and some other concepts, even in the Indian part. Again, we'll come to this one. Why it is rising. Again, we'll explain the isostasy also. Yes, Dwarka city is submerging. That is what the tip is. Once upon a time, it got submerged. This completely submerged. That is the best example for submergence. Now, in the present scenario, what is happening? This particular piece of land is having less pressure underneath. Why it has submerged? Because the extra material that is deposited, and so it got sink down. Now, because of the removal of the material slowly, it is slowly raising up. Slowly raising at a rate of what? Maybe 1 millimeter per 10 years. That is what the rate of rising. The Kathiawar Peninsula is a emerging in nature, especially in this side. Could you see this one? This entire, the southern part of the Kathiawar is rising up vertically. Along with which coast? Malabar coast. What is the best example to say that the Malabar coast is rising? The backwaters. Okay, the backwaters are the best features for the exam, for the rising of this one. Is there any such example to show that the Kathiawar is raising? There is no such example, but we can see the geographers have calculated the height of this one, which is slowly always it is not stable. In fact, it is increasing. When the people are calculating the increment, then they came to know that yes, it is increasing. Is it clear? This is about the submergence and the variety and the emergence variety, which is related to the radial forces, nothing but orogenic forces. Now, coming to the other very important forces. What are the important forces? These are the horizontal forces. These are the horizontal forces. The horizontal forces acting along the surface. Which forces are very dominant? The radial forces. Why the radial forces are so powerful? Because they are acting right from the deep inner layers. What are the sources? What are the sources for these radial forces? What are the sources? There are few sources, like the very important sources. The first and foremost one is called as the tidal forces. Very, very important forces. What do you mean by the tidal forces? This you need to understand very clearly. What do you mean by tidal forces? Normally, we feel like tide is a very high rise of the water along the coastal area. That is what we know as a tide, right? Suppose if this is the coastal area, if this is the water level, sometimes the water level comes up to this point. This is called as high tide. Sometimes it goes lower side, it is called as low tide. This is what we know, right? This is called as the mean sea level. This is what our knowledge regarding the tide. Is it clear? Now, why the water is rising vertically up? Because of some force. What is that some force? Moon is acting. When the moon is pulling, the water on the earth, what happened? The water level rise. This is called as high tide. When the moon is not pulling, then again the water will be going to the lower side, which is called as a low tide. In between, the water will be remaining calm. It is called as the mean sea level. Is it clear? Because of the moon's gravitational pull, the water is rising vertically up, rising and falling vertically down. This is what the change that we are seeing, and we call them as tides. The tides are because of the pull of the moon. This pulling force is called as the tidal force. Got the point? What we feel tide is nothing but simply a small local phenomena where the rise of the water is happening. But for the rise of the water, there is a power that is there, not on the surface, but is in extraterrestrial way. What do you mean by extraterrestrial? Nothing but somewhere above the Earth's surface, far away from Earth, some 3 lakhs of kilometers. From there, the pulling force is there. That force which is acting over the Earth's surface is called as the tidal force. Don't imagine that a force of the tide is called as tidal force. Is it clear? What do you mean by tidal force? It is not the force of the tide. It's not the force of the water along the coastal area. What is the tidal force? Tidal force is the force of the celestial bodies like moon. The force of the celestial bodies like moon, and not only moon, but the sun. The sun and the moon are having certain force exerted on the surface of the earth. That force is called as the tidal force. Is it clear? Normally, we will be feeling so confused between the tidal force and the tides. Again, I will give one more confusing concept. In the very concept here, what is there? Think very practically. Like the people went onto the moon. When the people were there on the moon, how the people are? Are the people walking just like on the earth's surface? No, the people are unable to stay perfectly firm on the moon surface. Why the people are unable to walk very freely on the moon surface? Because moon is having low gravitational, very low gravitational. Here, we people see this chair, the chair is perfectly staying because someone is pulling down. Earth is having the greater gravitational force. We are perfectly walking because we are attached to the Earth's surface because of the gravitational force. But is the moon is having same gravitational force? Now, the question. All you people know that the moon gravitational force is less. If a person is there on the moon surface, he is not perfectly pulled onto the surface. He can glide. When the moon cannot pull a person who is there exactly over its surface, how comes the same moon is pulling the water on the surface of the earth? Question? That doubt should be there in your mind. Forget about the answer. The doubt should be there. Is the doubt clear? Question clear? Is it okay? When you are talking about the moon, many times, normally this is the Apollo mission where Neil Armstrong kept his foot on the moon, and these people cannot walk, they simply jumped. This is what the stories we came across, right? Meaning what? Even the gas is not perfectly there on the surface of the moon, and therefore the people require the gas cylinders for the breathing. Why the gas is not there? Because the gravitational force is not there. When the gravitational force is not there for the moon, where it cannot pull the gases, where it can't pull the people on the surface, how comes it is acting on the surface of the earth, which is located 3 lakh kilometers, and it is pulling the water on one side? How dare it is? It is having such a great power or what? When it can't pull the man on its surface, how it is pulling? Got the point? Meaning what? What is the answer? Where the answer lies? Whenever you are talking about the gravity, gravity is of two types. The gravity is of two types. One gravity is called as acceleration due to gravity. It's called as acceleration due to gravity. What do you mean by this acceleration due to gravity? Any object that is there, it will be falling down because of the acceleration, the pull that is there. That is weak for the moon. But there is another gravity. What is that gravity? Any celestial body which is having mass, meaning what? Moon, itna bada sa hai. When moon is so large, definitely it will be having some mass. The mass, any celestial body which is having mass, equivalent to the mass, it is having the force of attraction. Equivalent to the mass, it is having the force of attraction. It will be attracting all other elements towards its center. This is what called as mass related gravity. It's called as the mass related gravity. One is gravity to pull the material on the surface, which is where we are feeling like, we are being attracted towards the earth. And so the earth is having all the gases also. All the gases are there. How these gases are there? Because of the pull from the earth's interior. Therefore, the earth is having all the atmosphere and all we people are stick to this one. There is another type of gravity. Whatever the mass, whatever the celestial body, whichever is having the mass, any celestial body which is having the mass is having the gravitational force. And that gravity is the one which is acting over the water on the surface. Is it clear? This is the difference between the two gravitational forces. Both the names are gravitational force only. Both they are the gravitational force, but the action of these forces is different. One is called as the acceleration due to gravity, which is the tendency to pull towards its surface. The another one is exerting the pressure on the other surface. Like sun is pulling the earth, earth is repelling, moon is attracted towards the earth, moon is repelling. Those are attraction forces and the repulsion forces. They're also the gravitational force. That depends upon the celestial body. Sun, so large, and so greater pull. Earth, so small, so small. Therefore, it is repelling. Had the Earth is not at a distance of 150 million kilometers, it would have fallen onto the sun. It is having weak repulsive force because of its mass. How much mass is there? Certain mass is there. Because of certain mass, it is repelling. Because of the repulsive force, because of attraction force, where the celestial body is exactly in middle and it is revolving around the sun. Why it has to revolve around the sun? Because sun is pulling. It is saying, it is asking, you just come in. It is saying, no, I am not coming. And so it is revolving around. Got the point? This is what called as the force of attraction and the repulsion. There is also the pull. It depends upon the mass of the celestial bodies. Depends upon the mass of the celestial bodies. Is it clear? This is about the force, which is called as the tidal force. The first and foremost one. The tidal force is the important force for the endogenic forces. What do you mean by tidal force? The force of attraction, where based on the mass of the celestial body, where the sun is having the attraction on the moon, on the sun, sun is having the attraction on the earth, and the moon is also having the attraction on the earth, and the earth is repelling. That force is acting right from the deep inner layers. That is what the tidal force, which is triggering some energy from the deep inner layers, and therefore the endogenic forces are created. Then the next one is called as the radioactive disintegration. Another very, very important one is called as radioactive disintegration. The another one is called as radioactive disintegration. What do you mean by radioactive disintegration? There are certain unstable elements in the Earth's interior. There are certain unstable elements. The best example, what are those very unstable elements where they cannot stay perfectly, but they will be keep on disintegrating? The best example, uranium, plutonium, thorium, all the atomic minerals where they are unstable and therefore they will be disintegrating. The moment once they disintegrate, what do you mean by disintegrating? Breaking into pieces and pieces. One piece breaks into two, two pieces breaks into four, four pieces breaks into 16 pieces. Likewise, they will be keep on disintegrating. For every disintegration, they will be releasing certain energy. What type of energy they will be releasing? They will be releasing the heat energy. When the heat energy is released, since the energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but can be converted. How it is converted? From one form, earlier the energy is there inside that material, radioactive material. Now it broke. When it got broken, the energy released in the form of heat. Because of that heat energy, the material which is there around those minerals, like maybe this is the Earth's interior, this is the uranium or thorium. If it has released the heat energy, what happens to the rocks that are present around this material? This is, imagine that this is one radioactive material. Now it is releasing the heat energy. When the heat is released, now these are the rocks that are present. When the rocks are there near to this material, because of tremendous heat energy, what happens to these rocks? The rocks melt. When the rocks melt, what they're called as? Magma. Magma is lower in density. The rock, which is at the depth of maybe 100 kilometers, now it has turned into magma, which is a semi-liquid material. When it is semi-liquid material, definitely the density is low. When the density is low, it cannot stay there in the deep inner layers. Got the point? See, normally who will be staying lower? Those material which are more in weight. Which material can be staying upper? Less weight material. When the less weight material is there underneath than the more weight material, then what happened? The less weight material tend to move to the up. Because of Earth's rotation, what happened? The material tends to move up. In this process, whenever it is tending to move up, it comes out and it creates certain destruction on the surface, which is called as the force from the inner layers, called as endogenic force. It's because of the radioactive disintegration. This is another force. Then the third source of the endogenic force is a rotation force of the Earth. Rotation of the earth. How comes the rotation of the earth itself is generating certain forces on the deep inner layers? Whenever the earth is rotating very fast, there is a constant adjustment for the rocks in the earth's interior. Because earth is rotating. What is earth? Rocky material. All the rocks are present inside the earth and all the rocks are rotating. When all the rocks are rotated, do you think that all the rocks are one block of rock or what? No, they are pieces of rocks. All these pieces of rocks are rotating. When the pieces of rocks are rotating very fastly, there will be a rupture between the rock and the rock. Because the rupture between the rock and the rock, what happens? The rocks break. Some of the weak rocks that are present in the inside, they will break. When the rock breaks, it releases the energy called as strain energy, which releases the strain energy, nothing but triggering of earthquake. These are the very important main and prime sources of the endogenic forces. Because of these forces only, we can find the changes over the earth's surface. Because of these forces only, there are certain structural changes on the earth's surface. Is it clear? After this one, after the sources, let us see the orogeny. What do you mean by the orogeny? The orogeny forces are basically the mountain building forces. What are the orogeny forces? The orogeny forces are basically the mountain building forces. They're basically the mountain building forces. They are acting horizontally. They're acting horizontally, meaning what? Suppose if this is a surface. Suppose if this is a surface. What the surface is having? I mean, what the earth is made up of? All rocky material. If at all I am taking this as a earth one piece, meaning what? If I am taking this as one piece of the earth, meaning this earth, I am taking this part. Just like whenever you are celebrating the birthday, you will be taking one piece. This is a piece. Okay. If I take this one piece of the earth, now see this one, what is happening? If I take this one piece of the earth, all the other rocks like this one layer of rock, this another layer, this another layer, so many layers of rocks are there. Imagine that the forces are acting towards the center. When the forces are acting horizontally, means what? They can be towards the center or they can be away from the center. Take this piece of land. Suppose this is a piece of land. When the forces are acting towards the center like this, what happens? When the forces are acting towards the center and away from the center, meaning what? Orogeny. There can be two types of the direction of actions. One is called as towards the center, called as compressive forces. It's called as the compressive forces, meaning what? The forces are acting towards the center. When the forces are coming towards, what happens to the piece of land? It gets compressed. These are the compressive forces. Whereas it's called as the forces which are acting away from the center, where they are moving away from the center. These are called as rare fraction. What do you mean by rare fraction? Nothing but they're moving away. They're also called as that. They're also called as tangential forces. They're called as tangential forces. The forces are acting away from the center. When the forces are towards or otherwise, don't say tangential. Tangential meaning what? That will come to other, one more meaning is also there for the tangential. What is the tangent? Suppose if this is a circle, if the force is acting like this is also tangent. You can call this one as tensional forces. They're called as the tensional forces. What do you mean by tension? Like whenever you are pulling away. You might be seeing in the gym. In the gym, there will be some rubber material where you need to stretch. Okay, these are the stretching forces. These are the compressive forces. What happens whenever there is a compression and whenever there is a stretching? What happens? See this one. When the compression is there, it leads to the formation of folding and wrapping. it leads to the formation of folding and wrapping. What do you mean by wrapping? Normally, you will be taking the paper and you will be crushing the paper and you will be throwing. What that crushing called as? Nothing but wrapping. That is what the paper get wraps. On the same lines, the land also gets wraps. Whenever the forces are acting away from the center, what happens? You can find the formation of faults. You can find the formation of fault. What is a fault? Nothing but the fracture line. Not only the fault, even it leads to the formation of rift also. When we talk about the fold and the fault, basically these are the two very important structures. There are wide varieties of folds. Folds are not simply the folds, but there are wide varieties of folds. Like, let us talk about the different varieties of folds, the foldings. There are different types of folds. What is a fold? This is a piece of land. Suppose there are different structures like this. When the forces are acted toward the center, what happens? The land get deforms like this. When the land get deforms like this, all the terms are very important. Because of compression, what happened to the land? The land got deformed. This elevation is called as anticline. What is anticline? Nothing but opposite to the flat surface. What is the opposite to? What is this flat surface called as? This is called as the vertical plane. I mean, sorry, not the vertical. It's called as horizontal plane. This is called as the horizontal plane. To the horizontal plane, the opposite is there. What is that opposite? Is called as anticline. This is called as, come on, it's called as syncline. The synclines and the anticlines. The anticlines are nothing but you can compare with these mountains, whereas synclines are compared with the valleys. Synclines are nothing but the valley-like features. Anticlines are nothing but the mountain-like features. Don't think that they are mountains, they are valleys. Like features, like anticlines are mountain-like features, synclines are valley-like features. When I said this one, you people imagination, like you will be imagining definitely in your mind, but the imagination, whatever you are imagining and whatever the real picture, normally they won't match. You may be having a very great imagination, but when I show the picture, then you feel like massive. Oh my God, what I have thought, what is the picture really it is? See the pictures, then you can understand the reality. What is that syncline? What is that anticline? Let us show the pictures here. This is what the syncline, anticline, and all the parts are very important. Whatever the parts that are given there, I am going to explain. No need to write about no need to worry about this one. Something is like given like hinge line, limb, and all these things. Whenever the land get compressed, somewhere you can find syncline, somewhere you can find anticline. This is the animated picture. Again, one more. See, this is anticline. This is syncline. To the inner layers is called as syncline. Is called as anticline. This is what the general picture that is given. If we draw a line, if we cut the land in between like this, this is called as the anticline. Whenever it is cutted in between, there is called as axis. It's called as axis. It's called as axis. Axis nothing but if at all you are having a top, all you people might have played with the top, right? If you hit the nail right from the top, it exactly goes in the middle. What it is called as axis. Even for the earth, we will be drawing the axis right from the center. That is what the axis is. When we draw the axis on both the sides, you can find the two. Suppose it's the land got raised like this. If I draw in between, it's called as, this is the land. Because of the compression, what happened? Anticline. What is syncline? This is a syncline, right? When it is anticline, if at all I am drawing the line in between, it's called as axial line. When you draw a line, definitely there is an angle between the line and the slope of the land, and the line and the slope of the land, this angle. These angles, if they are perfectly equal, maybe 10 degrees, 10 degrees, maybe 30 degrees, 30 degrees, maybe 50 degrees, 50 degrees. When both the angles are very perfect, where it is called as symmetric fold. And the two slopes of the land, nothing but the two sides of the mountains, they're called as limbs of the mountain. See, this is one limb, another limb. Now, there are different varieties of folds. When the force is less, it got raised simply, which is called as symmetric fold. What is symmetric? Whenever we are drawing the line, the angle between this one and the angle between this one are one and the same. When the force is somewhat more from one side, then what happened? It turns into definitely a fold, but a symmetry fold. What do you mean by symmetry fold? Whenever you are seeing the axis, on one side the angle may be some 30 or 40, the other side the angle may be some other angle, 30, maybe 20, maybe 50, maybe 40. Both the angles are not one and the same. It's called as asymmetric fold. There are some other folds like overfold. Under the overfold, you can find wide varieties like isoclinal fold, monoclinal fold, where there are very variety. Recumbent fold is there. This is a recumbent fold, nothing but overturned fold. This overfold is an overturned fold. What are these overturned fold? What is the definition? All we are going to explain. Just see the picture. When the force is less, first of all, it forms like this. When more force is applied, turns into asymmetric. Furthermore, inclines. Furthermore, meaning what? The land raised because of some force exerted. More force, further more force, further more force, and the mountain slips on the other mountain. That is what is going to happen whenever the force is intense. Whenever the force is there, such a great force, when the mountain got folded and it has inclined, because of exertion of more force, sometimes this fold breaks. This fold breaks. What is rock? Whenever you are seeing the rock, practically, if you throw the rock or hit the rock breaks. But what we are explaining, we are telling that the rock is getting folded. Can it fold or what? Normally, what happens whenever the force is applied on the rock breaks. When the rock breaks, provided it has reached its threshold limit. What is the threshold limit? Like you people are also having the threshold limit. Every person is having the threshold limit. What is the threshold limit? This is what the language of the subject. If I give in your language, then you can understand very clearly. Okay? हर एक आदमी का अपना अपना patience level होता है. Right? Someone is keep on criticizing you. First time you say, चलो जाने दो, और एक बार बोल दिया, ये तो पागल है, इसको छोड़ दो. This is what the mind says. Third time, fourth time, and this fellow is keep on behind you. Then what you will do? At one point, what you will be doing? You will be revolting. What is that point? You start revolting is the threshold limit. For each and every person, they are having one threshold limit. What is the point? Like no person in the world can sit calm just like that. At one point, maybe for some people the threshold limit is very less. फटक से गुस्सा आ जाता है, right? For some people the threshold limit will be more. They will be having more patience and they will be waiting for. On the same lines, the rocks are also. On the same lines, the rocks are also having the threshold limit. What is the threshold limit? Whenever the force is applied, some rocks breaks very easily. Some rocks will bend. They get folded. They wait, further wait. But at one point, it cannot further tolerate, then it breaks. The moment once it breaks, what it is called as, the rock has reached its threshold limit. The moment once the rock breaks means what? Fracture. Whenever the rock fracture, what it is called as? The fault line. Meaning what? The compressive force also are responsible for faulting. Don't think that only the tensional force are responsible for faulting. Even the compressive force are also responsible for faulting. When I have showed all these things, you people never have imagined the land can be like this. See the land? This is the real picture. Could you see the rock? See the rock? If you go to Himalayas, you can see the mountains like this, where the rock is of the structure, not the rock like this. This is the anticline. Real image I am showing you. It's not the animated picture, right? This is the anticline. If at all you want to see the anticlines, inclines, go to the Himalayan region. And normally everyone will be going to the Himalayan region. What we'll be seeing? We'll be seeing only the beautiness of the Himalayas. But the geographer who is well aware of the rocks, he alone will be seeing the structures. Okay, this is what folded, and therefore the Himalayas are called as the fold mountains. We will be reading like Himalayas are called as the fold mountains. If you go to Himalayas, definitely you will be seeing, yes, the folds are there. Okay, if at all the time permits, we all will go one day. I'll show you the folds there. Okay, this is what the fold. Then see this one, syncline. Don't always think that it is syncline means what it is in a lower list. See this syncline. It is mountain-like structure, but it is of depression. Meaning what? Once upon a time, the land was up to here. What happened all this area? The man, because of his development, he has cleared, cut at the mountain. Could you see the structure, which is syncline-like structure? Is there? It is in the Appalachian regions. The photo is taken in the Appalachian regions. This is what the syncline. Is it clear? Then overfold. One of the very important for the example for the overfold. Isoclinal. What do you mean by isoclinal? Where the two limbs are parallel up, almost they are parallel. Could you see this one? But they are not exactly horizontal. They are definitely parallel. See, this is parallel, this is parallel, this is parallel, but they are not horizontal. What is horizontal? Exactly opposite. They are definitely appearing parallel, but they are somewhere meeting. They are not horizontal. That is what the isoclinal. See the rock? Sir, can the rock can be like this? Yes, when until it is having that threshold limit to break. It has not reached its threshold, therefore it is getting folded. That is what the isoclinal. Really, in the nature, you can find all these type of rocks. You can find the bends that are there. See how beautifully the land got folded. Once upon a time, how the rock was straight. All the lines, whatever the lines you are seeing, all the lines are straight. But because of the compressive forces, now the rock is appearing like this. This is the isoclinal fold. What do you mean by isoclinal fold? Where the limbs, see the limbs? These are the limbs. The limbs are parallel, but they are not horizontal. This is called as isoclinal. Then monoclinal. Entire this rock where a slight bend is there. Could you see this one? The rock is horizontal up to here, but because of some pressure, the rock got tilted like this. Mono means what? Mono, only one limb got elevated. The other limb is simply as it is. Mono means what? One. One got changed. Another one is as it is, the monoclinal. Then recumbent means what? Overturned, completely overturned. It has got raised like this, bent. It is overturned. See this one? Meaning what? When the mountain was like this, symmetric, asymmetric, isoclinal, monoclinal, then it's sleeping on the other rock, neighboring rock. It is sleeping. Sleeping on what? Another bedrock. Earlier, this was straight like this, but it got folded up, and it is now sleeping like this. This is what the recumbent fold. After the recumbent fold, if further force is applied, the very area turns into chevrons. What are chevrons? Where the recumbent, could you see the recumbent, which are just like a V-like structures? Entire the rock will be having the V-like structures. See this one? You can find all the V's. This is called as chevron. All the terms are very important. Chevron. What do you mean by chevron? The limbs are sharp. And I forget to give the name. Like, you know, whenever this mountain is there on the top, what is this one? This is axis. If at all you are drawing a line perpendicularly, it's called as axis. If you draw a line here like this, it's called as hinge line. H-I-N-G, the hinge. The hinges are very sharp. See the hinge? The hinge is very sharp, meaning what? Wherever the joint of the two limbs, it is very sharp. It's not blunt. It's very sharp. This is called as chevron. See this one? Could you make out this one? It's a real rock. This is not an art. Okay, this is not an art. This is really a rock that is available. That is what called as chevron fold. Chevron folds, availability of these chevrons are somewhat, you know, difficult. Beyond this chevron fold, there is another fold which is exclusively, uniquely found in our India on great scale, especially in the Himalayan regions, called as NEPI, N-A-P-P-E. What is this NEPI? NEPI is nothing but whenever the land got folded, overfold, then isoclinal, monoclinal, then recumbent. Whenever it is sleeping on the neighboring rock, it's called as recumbent fold. Further force. What the further force creates? Fault, break. Whenever the rock break, meaning what? The threshold got reached. When the threshold got reached, this particular piece of rock jumps from one area to another area because of the force. It gets separated from the parent rocky material and it will be thrown to some other area. And in some other area, this particular fold will be, this mountain, which was folded mountain, will be sleeping and it will be on the other side. Meaning what? Somehow it is something like this. It is something like this. See this one? This is the rock. Somewhere here the fold has happened. Isoclinal, then monoclinal, then recumbent. It has broken here because of very great compression. This piece has fallen like this here. This material and this material doesn't have any link at all. For the people who are living here, for them, this is a small elevation. That's it. The people can simply walk. But never they can understand that this particular piece of rock is somewhere a more compressed rocky material from far away distances. Sometimes that will be coming right from tens of kilometers. But such a great compressive force is there because this one, it got broken from this area and it is jumped and fallen here. Such a material is called as NEPI. And the Himalayan regions are having great number of so many NEPIs. Maybe over the NEPI we cannot make out because we don't have that much knowledge. We can see if at all you are drilling, what happens? You can see only this rock. Up to what you need to drill? Up to here. You need to drill here. The combination of the rock is something different, right? The composition of the rock here and here are two different rocks. That is what the NEPI. This is called as the Himalayan NEPIs. In the Himalayas, you can find more number of NEPIs. These are the NEPI type of. These are the NEPI type of landforms. See, this is a chevron, but NEPI is not given. Then faults. After the folding, now the tensional force. Whenever you are talking about the tensional force, what do you mean by tensional force? When the forces are acting away from the center. When they act away from the center, what happens to the rock? The rock loses its elastic property and the threshold limit will be very easily attained and therefore it breaks. The moment once it breaks, it's called as the fracture line, nothing but the fault line. This is a fault line. There are wide varieties of faults, like normal fault. Whenever the land gets slips like this, it's called as normal fault. If the broken piece, if it is raising up, suppose the land, because of pulling from one side and pulling from other side, what happens? The land can slip. When it slips, it's called as normal fault. If this particular piece of land, where it is called as hanging wall, this is called as hanging wall. Whichever is moving down, this is a hanging wall. If the very hanging wall raises up, instead of going down, it raises up. It's called as reverse fault. Normal, reverse. Then it's a very simple one. Strike, slip. What do you mean by strike, slip, fault? Nothing but the movement. Horizontal movement. Like this, the other way, even the plate tectonics also will discuss, like divergent plate boundary, convergent plate boundary, then the transform plate boundary. This is nothing but the slip fault. What is the best example? San Andreas. This is a fault. Then oblique. When is one is slipping and one is not just slipping and it is moving further up. It's a normal fault, but again it is moving forward. It's called as oblique. There is another fault. Just now we said that no, the mountain form, bend, recumbent, then fault because of more compression, then it break. That is called as thrust fault. Whereas here this particular mountain got overlaid on the other side and get broken. These are the varieties of features. One is called as hanging wall, footwall. Footwall is nothing but the area which is larger one and it is remaining stable. This is the one which is breaking and it is thrusting down. Whenever it thrusts down, it's called as normal fall. If it thrusts up, reverse fall. If it slides parallel, it's called as strike, slip, fault. These are some of the faults. And the another one, oblique one and the thrust fault. They're somewhat complex one, but they are not that much important. These are the three very important types of faults. These are the folds and the faults. All it is about the dash topic. What is that part that is kept pending in the dash topic? It is isostasis. After completion of the catastrophe and after the completion of exogenic forces, will come to the isostatic. Because isostasis needs to be learned in a different aspect, and at the same time, it itself is a separate concept. There are certain models, theories that are related to isostasis. Eyre model, Pratt model. There is another model called as Helsinki model. But we'll be seeing Eyre and Pratt and the other models which are very much in OAS right now under the UPSC, where the people are asking more questions on the isostasis. Right? These are the different varieties of folds and the faultings. This is the orogeny and epirogeny. The next concept, we need to move from the orogeny, epirogeny, nothing but under the dash topic. From there, we need to enter into the catastrophic. What is a catastrophic force? All of a sudden, what are the two sudden actions that we can find very easily? One is called as the volcanism. Another one is called as earthquake. Right? The next very topic is the volcanism. What I will be doing, I will upload all these things. And in the meanwhile, you should be writing all these things, some of the things. It's better I can dictate something. You people are simply sitting, you are not writing anything. Whenever you don't have that handwritten class notes, it's very difficult. You won't feel attached to this one. So I need to change the strategy. Instead of leaving the task on you, because you people are feeling like, everything is available in the printed form. Why should I write? So it should not be the case. To a certain extent, I will be dictating so that you can write something, right? See, these are the things. I'm going to give all these things. Like everything is being described here. What is a reverse fault? What is a normal fault? And also, what is the oblique fault and the thrust fault? This is the thrust and this is the oblique. This is the description of the fault. Then chevron, what are chevrons? What is recumbent? What is monocline? What is isocline? Oh, what happened? Is overlapped or what? It got overlapped. We need to draw this one down. Can we draw? Yes. We can drag this one down. Oh my God. Uh, cut to copy. Hmm? Yes. Yes. Okay. The isoclinal, right? The isoclinal, then syncline. Everything is there with the figures. This is about the falls, the fault and the falls, right? This type of material, if it is given, so that easily you can understand whenever you are seeing the pictures. That's what I thought, like, let me upload these things. But you will be losing the class notes. What I will do, I will dictate the things even in the class so that you can draw the things in the class even. If at all you are not practicing, it's very difficult. And moreover, the other very important point is the map pointing. You try to purchase this book, which is called as Geography Through Maps. There's a book called as Geography Through Maps. Okay, one English author is there by name uh, by name. One is our Indian author K. Siddharth. K. Siddharth sir's book was too good. One is the Indian author K. Siddharth, and also there is another book who happens to be the abroad author. What is the name of this guy? Is called as Geography Through Maps. What is the name of this guy? I forget this name of this guy. It's called as one book is there. The name is there. One is K. Siddharth. You can simply purchase K. Siddharth's Geography Through Maps, where each and every continent was given very clearly, and the important physical structures are also represented there. That is the K. Siddharth's Geography Through Maps. Another name, English name. In fact, I have seen this book just 2 days back. I was there in the house and I kept that one aside. And what is the name of that guy? Anyhow, okay, whatever may be the name, I will let you know the name. But you can purchase the book, whatever the author is or whoever is the author. The title should be Geography Through Maps. Basically, once upon a time there was a geography, what is called as a world map also, but nowadays world map is not there. Lucky or you people, or else you need to read so many entities of the world, like each and every part, where we used to read all those things. In fact, why we are having that much command on the world? Because we read each and every part of the world. Even there was a chapter in the world geography called as regional world geography. The regional world geography, the book is by Mr. Tikka. That guy, Tikka, has given such a great elaboration for each and every continent. And therefore, we are having that command over the world map. But for you, no need to go to the world. If we can read our India, that is more than sufficient. Purchase the Geography Through Maps and try to purchase. You should be having 2 atlases, not just one. Go for 2 atlases. You maintain the link between the 2 atlases. Like if at all you can get the atlas called as Penguin Atlas. This atlas called as Penguin Atlas. It will be somewhat expensive, but Penguin Atlas is too good for the world part basically, and also to a certain extent to the Indian part. If Penguin is not available, then go for Oriental Black Swan and Oxford, both. How much it is? I think 150 rupees, right? Is 150 or Oh, Oriental Blackstone is 300. And what about Oxford? Oh my God. What happened? 350, it became 350 or what? When it was huh? 300, around 300. 300 itself is quite expensive. When I was purchasing, it was around some 120 or 150. Almost a double. Okay, do one thing. You keep one atlas as of now. When we are going to see the places, some references are there. If those places are not given, then we'll see we'll go to other atlas. Okay. Now, today, let us start the map pointing. Let us start with some of the important religious places. Let me give only 5 points today, 5 or maybe whatever the case may be. But we start today. Every day I will be giving some few points. You try to know about the importance of this point. You try to know the greatness of that area, geographical importance, the important rivers, the geological structure, mineral composition, other aspects. What are the other aspects? Like maybe industrially it is good, or maybe culturally it is an important place, or maybe the religiously it is important place, right? Today, let me start with this one. Slowly, everything is slowly. See, I am so slow. You criticize me or you comment me, whatever you want to call. I am slow because I believe in the slow process. Hurry, running, I can't do the things. Okay. Give the heading as you need to have a separate book. Don't combine in this book. And moreover, you should be having the class notes. Don't write in the papers, right? Let there be a separate book for the map pointing. Give the heading as map pointing, and let us start with the few places. Today I may be giving only few places which are important for our religious. They are religious since we are sentimentally attached. So let me give the religious places. Okay, the first and foremost one. The first and foremost one, Banaras. See, when I say Banaras, simply don't think that it is the one which is located in UP. It is having a great temple called as Kashi Vishwanath. Don't write like that. You need to explain the geographical condition. It is located on the banks of river Ganges. It is the ancient cultural city which is having connectivity, which is having continuity even today. See, out of all the world countries, you talk about any world country, any country of the world, which ancient city even today it is live? It is our Varanasi. It started its habitation way back some hundreds of thousands of years back. Even today, the thread of civilization is continuing. No other city in the world is having so great ancient culture except our, right? Then you need to talk about the geographical entities, right? Then let us talk about the next very important one called as Ajmer. What is Ajmer? Where is Ajmer? What is the importance of this one? What is the religious importance? It is a very important dargah. There is a very important dargah. See, masjid is different from dargah. Do you know this one? Masjid is a place of worship, whereas dargah is a place where a very pious, sacred body was cremated. One of the great personality was cremated. Who taught not the religion, but he taught humanity. Even in your history, you'll come across some movements called as Bhakti movement, Islam Bhakti movement, Hindu Bhakti movement. In one of the Bhakti movement, nothing but the Islam Bhakti movement, there was a great personality called as Khwaja Banda Gariban Nawaz. His body was cremated here, right? Then the third one, the third very important, what is that place where the Christian, very great Christian church is located? Saint Basilica. One is there in the Goa. If I give Goa, definitely you will not be writing the cultural things. You will be writing non-cultural things. Then Velankini. Come on, Velankini. Velankini is a very important religious place for Christianity. Where it is located? Velankini. V-E-L-A-N. V-E-L-A-N. K-I-N-A. Velankini. Okay. Velankini. Even Velangini, this is also called as G-I-N-I. Velangini. Okay. Velankini is a original name, right? This is a very important Christian place where the Christian religion is dominantly found in the state of Tamil Nadu. Okay, Velankini. Then one, let me give the Buddhist place like Tawang. Where is Tawang? Tawang is a very great Buddhist monastery. In fact, this is the world's second largest Buddhist monastery, which is located in our India. In which state? Arunachal Pradesh. Right? Then, after the Buddhism, the next religion is Jainism. Where do you find Jainism? Jainism religion, very, very great temple called as Dilwara temple. Where? Huh? Rajasthan. Let me write Mount Abu. Mount Abu. Right? See, this is for Hindus, it is for Islam, it is for Christians, it is for Buddhist, it is for, instead of Mount Abu, you can go for directly, do one thing. That is because Mount Abu, again, if at all Mount Abu is given, you can write different things. Let me give Mount Parshnath. Parasnath. Then it will be good. Okay, let we start with the Bhagwan. Okay, map pointing with Bhagwan, right? These are the religious places. All they are the religious places. What you need to do when I give these names, first of all, you need to identify the place where it is located. What is the first task? You need to locate the place. Identify the place. You should be in a position to specifically pinpoint that place, right? This is the first task. Then after this one, the very first preference go to geographical importance. Since we are writing all these things in the subject geography, you need to talk about the geographical importance of this place. Meaning what? How that place formed. If there is any unique specificities there, you need to explain. See, this has formed because of the folding, this is because of the folding, or because of the tensional forces, or if some geographical condition is there. Then you need to talk about any specific geographical feature. Any geographical feature is located. Meaning what? It is on the banks of, it is on the top of the hill of, it is on the plateau of, it is on the valley, in the valley. Got the point? Geographical feature. Whether it may be river, it may be mountain, it may be valley, it may be plateau. You need to talk about this one. Then talk about any specific significance. What is the significance of this place? What do you mean by significance? Maybe culturally significant, religiously significant, agriculturally significance, or industrially significance, or the military significance. There are certain places which are military significance places, like Pathankot. Pathankot is a strategically located area. Siliguri, strategically located area. Silchar, strategically located area. Also Gilgit, in the Jammu and Kashmir, the name of the region called as Gilgit, very strategically located area. These are the places you need to specifically signify. What do you mean by significance? You need to tell specifically for what this particular place is important, whether it is religious important, culturally important, geographically important, or some other importance like maybe agriculturally important, industrially important, or maybe military or defense importance is there. Is it clear? This is about these 4 points you need to remember. You need to write just in 60 words. Within the 60 words, you need to complete all these 4. Whenever you are writing, definitely you will be getting good marks. We have started with the religious significance. As and when the classes progress, we'll talk about the other important places which are there in the news. Whatever the important places that are there in the news, I will be keep on segregating all these things and I'll be giving to you. Like the best example, what happened today in the day before yesterday? Day before yesterday, there was one great current development happened. One summit developed. One summit took place. Till this point of time, there was no such summit. But for the first time, a new summit emerged. I2U2. When we talk about I2U2, how the summit happened? Virtual summit. What is the emphasis? Emphasis was given on integrated education system. What is the emphasis? The emphasis is on integrated education system. One country started investing in India. What is that country? UAE. How many dollars? $2 billion. What is their interest? The integration of education. All these things are the developments. When such developments happens, they are going to establish certain education integrated parks. For that integrated park, they are going to select some of the places. When they are going to select some of the places, those places becomes the important places for you. This is yet to happen. Let us talk about those places which have already have some economic development already there. The place like Mundra, Mundra. Mundra. Where is Mundra? In the year 2008, when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister of India, what happened? There was a very great deal, but even today the deal could not fulfill, called as Indo-US nuclear deal. What is the target? The target is to establish almost all 7 to 8 nuclear power plants. When the nuclear power plants are going to establish, the nuclear fuel becomes the challenge. The nuclear fuel, different countries, like whatever the nuclear power countries like UK, America, France, Germany, these people, they want to establish the factories in India. When they want to establish the factory in India, all the entire money is there, all the entire the equipment is there, all the entire technology is there. For that establishment, we need to pay whatever they say. Initially, they will be establishing. They say that, yes, this is the money we are going to incur, maybe $1 billion. We need to pay that $1 million and we need to run the show. Run the show means what? You need to produce electricity. Whenever the electricity is produced, something goes wrong. Again, these people come and they will be checking. Technology will not be transferred. We need to take the product, not the technology. That is what the link. And so different areas, different proposals came up. One is called as Haripur of Bengal. There is a small village called as Haripur in Bengal, where Russia came forward for the establishment of the nuclear power industry. Also, one of the very small coastal area of Gujarat called as Mundra, where the America started establishing the nuclear power plant. But luckily, what happens, because of some tussle, somehow that Indo-US nuclear deal was kept aside. It didn't, it is not fruitful. But the places became so popular. What the point? Like there is a place called as in the coastal Andhra Pradesh, a small village called as Kovada. Kovada was a very small village. No one knows. But America was very much interested to establish the nuclear power plant there. Why only along the coastal areas? Why nuclear power plants needs to be established only along the coastal areas? Fukushima nuclear reactor for that matter. It was there along the coastal side of Japan. Do you remember the Fukushima nuclear explosion? In the case of Japan in the year 2011, what happened? There was a nuclear explosion in Japan. Where it is? Again in the coastal area. Normally, the nuclear power plants are established in the coastal areas. We should be in a position whenever one such name is given. What is that significance? Whether that city is significant for the nuclear power plant or the industrial sector, like the maybe railway locomotion engine is there, industry is there, or it is for agriculture purpose. You need to specifically mention that one, right? Today simply is the beginning where I have given only 5 names. I will be checking this the map pointing definitely every time. I will be seeing you need to write the important points. What is the structure? The structure is like this: location and identification and the geographical importance, the geographical feature. What is the importance and the feature? Importance is how it has formed, whether it is a plateau, over plateau, or whether it is a unique form like what is the one like backwaters. Don't expect for every point those things will be there. For some points, for some cities, those maybe geographical importance is not there, or maybe some other significance may not be there. Okay, it's not like a mandatory condition like every city should be having all this importance. Some cities will be having importance, some cities will not be. This is the general structure, right? You need to have the separate book for the map pointing. Today is the beginning. We'll be continuing. We'll be seeing continuously almost for every class minimum of 10 map pointing will be given. You need to follow all these things. Is it clear? Fine. We'll stop here and we'll see the remaining things in the next class. You please be very patient for the first time, meaning what? Maybe for 3 or 4 weeks, I'll be going only for the weekly sessions, but then we'll shift the time period. I will include 1 or 2 more days.